Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
Hey there guys, Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well, and in this video we're going to be talking about how the Mandalorian director has broke his silence following GINA Carano's firing nearly 3 years after that has happened. That being said, we're going to go ahead and hop right on into it. In this video we're going to be taking a read from the direct's article. I'll have their article linked in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well, and I also want to apologize in advance if I mispronounce anybody's name in this whole entirety of this video. But anyway, as the director's article goes on the read, Star Wars director Rick Famuyiwa opened up about his first time about GINA Carano's absence as Cara Dune in Season 3 of The Mandalorian. Lucasfilm's flagship Disney Plus show will continue into Season 3 in March, in just a couple of days here, rather actually tomorrow at the time of recording and publishing this video, without GINA Carano, who played Cara Dune, who was let go from the series in early 2021 after numerous controversial comments over social media. There are also no plans to bring her character back, Cara Dune, into the Star Wars universe after starring in 7 episodes from Mando's first 2 seasons, and she's reportedly been removed from all of her future appearances in other shows as well that would be centered around the Mandoverse, like Rangers of the New Republic, The Ahsoka Show, Book of Boba, and so on and so forth. Of course, with her role being so vital in those first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, fans are now wondering exactly how her absence will be dealt with and how Din Djarin and Grogu's story will really progress without GINA Carano and her character of Cara Dune. Recently speaking with Deadline, Star Wars director Rick and executive producer Dave Filoni spoke for the first time about GINA Carano's firing from The Mandalorian after playing the role of Cara Dune in the series for its first 2 seasons. And while Cara Dune is still technically a part of the world off camera, Rick Famuyiwa explained that the character came up often in discussions with show creator Jon Favreau and Filoni, making it clear that Din Djarin and Grogu are still at the heart of the show, and really what I guess matters at the end of the day for this overall Mandoverse here. Saying that, in full quote, Cara Dune was a big part and continues as a character to be part of the world. It had to be addressed in the creative, and Jon Favreau took the time to think about that. It was something that was discussed as we knew it was going to have an impact on the show, but at the same time, what has been at the heart of the show are the 2 characters, Din Djarin and Grogu, so ultimately it felt like a servicing of that and around the Mandalorians, ending that quote right there. As director Rick Famuyiwa kind of describes it almost as like a servicing, that they're kind of making more room for Din Djarin and other Mandalorian characters to really have the time to shine here, rather compared to a non-Mandalorian character, of course being Cara Dune. So with that being said, that's something that's very interesting in my own thoughts and opinions to kind of think about. It's almost like throwing a little bit of shade, I think, in her direction at that there as well. However, it's all fictional, of course. These are just made-up characters. So really, at the end of the day, it isn't really that deep, and in that sense, he's really looking at the bright side of things, I think, is what he's really getting at. The article continues to go on to read that when asked if Cara Dune is simply out in the universe bounty hunting, Dave Filoni explained that there are so many characters to touch on, but he called Cara Dune a great character and someone who was vital to Din Djarin's beginnings, saying that, in full quote, "It's a big galaxy and we have many characters in it. Many characters are fighting for their screen time. We'll just have to see as the season unfolds what the adventures are. But it's a great character, someone who was vital to Din Djarin's beginnings. We'll see if he has evolved beyond that," ending that quote right there from Dave Filoni. Filoni moved further into Season 3 by touching on how many Mandalorians will play a part in the overall story, not just with Season 3, but also going forward beyond that, Season 4, 5, 6, and even the other Mandoverse shows, such as the Book of Boba Fett and its future seasons, the Ahsoka Show, the Rangers of the New Republic, if that ever does happen, Star Wars Skeleton Crew. Dave Filoni does note that there are characters that take a lot more prominence when it comes to Mando and Grogu's story, saying that, in full quote, "Now Season 3 is mainly dealing with Mandalorians and the Mandalorian saga," really is what he calls it, the Mandalorian tale. There's different characters he's met since Bo-Katan who takes a lot more prominence, which makes sense where his arc is going, and the story of him and Grogu specifically, ending that quote right there. I really think that what with Dave Filoni is saying here is that as the story is progressing and evolving, we're going to see the same thing with the different characters and what our different side characters and allies are doing here with the main characters, Din Djarin and Grogu, of course. They're kind of changing and cycling out, essentially. The article continues to say that when asked whether fans had called for GINA Carano to return, Filoni simply said that it's a great character and explained how many requests he gets for all types of characters in the story. And while he didn't name Carano specifically, he explained that the hardest part of it is finding time and space for everyone out there in this overall narrative, saying that, in full quote, "I get requests across the board for all types of characters. I've been with Star Wars, it's coming on 20 years. It's a great galaxy. The hardest thing is finding time and space for everyone out there." George Lucas used to talk about when he was making the prequels, he had so many great characters and they all wanted to have screen time. However, the question remains is that how do you do it when your job is to tell the story of Anakin Skywalker specifically, saying that he can relate to that, ending that quote right there. And I think that's very prominent, and I think that really wraps it up. That gives me perfect closure to the whole ideal of Gina Carano's Cara Dune character in the Mandoverse here, is that yes, there are going to be so many other different characters that you want to explore and have in this overall narrative, in this story here, and even expanding off of that with like other shows like the Book of Boba Fett, Rangers of the New Republic, Skeleton Crew, as I had of course mentioned there. But at the end of the day, what is this narrative really about? And he's comparing that to George Lucas's story of that there of course being Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. That is who really matters at the end of the day. And so comparing it to his project on the entirety of the Mandoverse here, the character that really matters at the end of the day for him and his narrative is of course not just Din Djarin but also Grogu. This here all being said, the article continues to say that Gina Carano's situation is really quite still difficult for Star Wars. Director Rick Famuyiwa and Dave Filoni haven't had an easy time handling the situation with Gina Carano, as the company was forced to write out a pivotal supporting character from a quickly expanding story. She's even seen support from a couple of her co-stars over the past few years, although Lucasfilm appears to be set on leaving Cara Dune behind after Carano's controversial actions and situations. This becomes even more difficult as director Rick Famuyiwa and Dave Filoni have gotten requests from a number of Star Wars fans to bring Cara Dune back, actually, and with her character last seen in Chapter 16, Season 2, as Mark Hamill made his highly celebrated return as Luke Skywalker in the Mandalorian Season 2 finale. Without Gina Carano, Season 3 will look to further expand the story and delve deeper into Star Wars' past, including bringing back the narrative to Coruscant, the planet from the prequel trilogy, while also making Mandalore, that planet, a huge part of the entirety of the season here as well. There will also be plenty of other huge reveals that remain hidden in the shadows for the time being, hopefully helping to give fans something new and exciting to celebrate as Cara Dune moves into an off-screen adventures, essentially. Now from there, that is where the article concludes, and as I had mentioned at the beginning of this video, I have this article linked in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well. I think our huge and our main takeaway here from this overall article, and your main takeaway from this video here, essentially, is these two main things here. We're kind of able to bring more closure to this entirety situation that we had going on here with Cara Dune and Gina Carano's character here in the Mandoverse here. It was very something that was up in the air. Would she actually appear in the Mandalorian Season 3 was a question that kind of had been thrown around out there. Was she simply to be kind of labeled as just kind of went off and like died essentially in the Mandoverse here? And I think that leads me to our other thing here, aside from getting like proper closure for this overall character in the Mandoverse here, and with kind of like with our creators, the show's creators think about this and everything like that, finally breaking the silence on it, is that her character does remain alive and is kind of doing her own thing off screen here now and having her own adventures is another. So not necessarily killing off Cara Dune does leave the opportunity to really bring her character back if that is something that Disney decides that they want to do, and furthermore that she decides that she wants to do. Anyway, I want to know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what you guys all think here about the Mandalorian Season 3, Cara Dune, and Gina Carano and this entirety of this situation down in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what you guys all think. Of course, this has been Unofficial Star Wars. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one, guys. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.